This is Joko Anwar, the one who writes Quickie Express, the one who wrote Janji Joni. Kayak I love him, kayak I want gitu. Oh, I love writing itu evil people.
Okay, so welcome to the very first episode of TYL, ya, TTYL, Talk to You Literature Podcast. So, I think since none of you have known me before, ya, karena saya juga nggak terlalu terkenal amat gitu ya. My name is Putri, and I will be hosting this episode, and actually also for the next 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 episodes ahead sebenarnya sih. Tapi ya udahlah ya, ini karena masih perkenalan. Mungkin teman-teman sekalian yang ngedengerin podcast ini atau yang nonton via YouTube itu udah mulai mikir-mikir gitu ya. Apa nih podcast baru lagi gitu. Apa perbedaannya podcast ini dibandingkan podcast-podcast lainnya? Nah sebenarnya sih tadi saya udah nyebutin keywords-nya ya, keywords for this podcast gitu. Dan keyword-nya itu jatuh di kata, yaitu di kata literature. So, sebenarnya yang bakal dibahas adalah lebih ke arah literary works-nya itu sendiri. Jadi kita bakal ngomongin hal-hal soal film, misalnya tentang short stories, tentang play, poems, atau even things related with literature. Misalnya kayak apa ya, adaptation gitu, misalnya adaptation of best-selling novel, misalnya seperti itu. Dan juga di setiap episodenya saya akan ditemani oleh guest-guest yang kayaknya seru banget untuk diajak ngobrol berkaitan dengan topik yang akan dibahas per episodenya. So, I will be accompanied by special guest. Dan harapannya dari obrolan interview / obrolan / discussion between me and my guest, itu harapannya sih teman-teman sekalian bisa dapat 1 atau 2 hal gitu lah ya. You can get something, you can get insights gitu related with literature ya. Harapannya sih begitu. Jadi tanpa berlama-lama kayaknya lebih asik kalau langsung obrolannya kita mulai aja. So mari kita sambut ya tamu di episode perdana ini. Please welcome our guest in this pilot project. Drumroll, ada suara drumroll gitu. Tamu saya kali ini adalah seorang penulis naskah film. Wow, jadi penulis naskah film nasional gitu ya. Penulis naskah film dan film-filmnya tuh masuk di box office loh teman-teman sekalian. Ya, jadi mari kita sambut tamu kita, Kak Joanna.
Halo.
Nah tadi kayak aku udah sempet sebut-sebutin sih ya, Kak Joanna ini adalah seorang penulis naskah film. Tapi mungkin I think it would be better if you can explain it yourself. Sebenarnya what is exactly things that you do gitu sebenarnya? Apa nih pekerjaannya to be specific?
Iya, penulis naskah film, di mana gue bikin naskah film. Gue itu mulai menulis dari tahun 2015, tapi awalnya web series dulu tuh bikin web series, terus tahun berikutnya bikin TV series, baru tahun berikutnya tahun 2017 bikin film pertama yang judulnya Teman Tabib Nikah. Semenjak itu mulai tuh setiap tahun bikin film. Total sih sekarang udah ada 6 film yang diproduksi dan film 7 dan 8 sedang ditulis.
Film 8. Wow.
Ternyata banyak ya.
Angka infinity. Tapi ini sebelum aku lanjutin, sebenarnya aku lupa nge-briefing sih ya. Ini podcastnya kan buat literature studies. Jadi perhaps the question should be answered in English gitu.
Mohon maaf. Alright. I can switch to English. That's fine. We can work that out.
Ya, jadi mungkin saya ulangin lagi pertanyaannya. Oh, jadi tadi kan aku udah nanya-nanya. So I have mentioned before that you are a script writer. Bilangnya apa sih, script writer or screenplay writer? So what is
Screenwriter.
Script writer.
Screenwriter.
So perhaps you can explain further kayak what is actually things that you do.
Right. So, as a screenwriter, what I do is I work with the producer to create his vision of a story. Sometimes I work with the directors as well. They would tell me, kayak, Joe, we have this idea about this one person who goes through this journey, and then I just make that happen into 100 and something pages, write that all out, and that would be one movie. That's in a nutshell.
Tapi gue baru tahu loh kalau misalnya pagesnya bisa sampai ratusan. For a movie, jadi sampai ratusan gitu ya. Oh, okay.
Betul. Yeah, in screenwriting, one page is usually about 1 minute and a half. So for every minute you watch, that's one page of a script.
Oh, oke. Wow, sebuah informasi yang sangat menarik. Oke, sebelum aku lanjutin, gini, if it's in my opinion gitu ya, dalam menonton film gitu, selain plotnya gitu, aside from the plot itself, I think one of the most important thing atau one of the most important elements itu di dalam sebuah film tuh jatuh di karakter sama characterization-nya sih ya. Kayak ini film tentang apa sih? Gitu kan sebenarnya yang bikin seru kan di situ kan. Nah, dari pengalamannya Kak Joanna itu, I would like to ask atau I would like to know how do you create a character driven film gitu ya that reach big audience gitu. Kayak misalnya tadi udah di-mention Teman Tapi Menikah gitu. Itu kan penontonnya sampai 1,7 juta gitu. So how do you create a character atau a script ya that reach big audience kayak gitu? Itu gimana sih Kak?
If the question is how do you reach a big audience, I don't think there's a rule to it. Maybe relatability could be one, but I think just having an interesting character that goes through an important journey in his or her life, and that journey itself is relatable to the people and they can grab a message out of it. I think that is a good way to make it, important to people, enough that they would tell other people to go and watch it.
Oke. Menarik. Nah, kalau misalnya ngomongin film gitu kan kadang-kadang karakternya a made up character. Nah, kalau yang Teman Tapi Menikah itu menurut aku sih lebih spesial lagi karena sebenarnya itu kan film based on real person gitu ya. So when you write the script itu what are the limit of freedom gitu. So you have written a script involving real people. So what are your responsibilities to the truth gitu kan? Like how much is it okay to fictionalize the character, si karakternya Ayu misalnya atau karakternya Dito gitu. So, how do you work it out?
Yeah, that's a really good question because it is an adaptation based on real life. So I do have the responsibility to bring out the character. However, here's the thing. Ayu and Dito wrote about their life as a 20-something-year-old married couple, and they look back to their old selves back in high school. And they write, and when I read it, I feel like, I can see this as high school characters. But I made the conscious decision not to meet them in person when I wrote the first.
Sorry to interrupt. So that was your decision. Jadi itu sengaja ya?
Sengaja. Habisnya, the reason is I was afraid that if I meet them in real life, I would be kayak captivated by their celebrity persona, you know, the 20-something-year-old selves that they have grown into. However, pas mereka nulis the high school version, obviously they're naive, they're a little more egoistic, they don't have the right words, they're more airy and bubbly or whatever, kayak, you know, high school students. They have no care in the world, and I would like to keep that. However, when I started writing the second one, I know that this is them right now. Like, this is the real married Ayu and Dito. They've already put their feet on the ground. They are more mature. They've seen all the positive and negatives of their relationship. Obviously, I want to meet them, and I want to know kayak what changed, how much has it progressed, kayak how their characters are like now gitu. So that's when I meet them. And yeah, so your question about how much of the truth do I have to write? As much as possible. However, for the first movie, we did make some changes in order to make it more kayak lebih cocok sama 3-arc narrative. Life doesn't usually conform to a 3-act narrative. We don't have kayak intro, arc, denouement, kayak dan. It doesn't work out that way. And certainly their story goes on and on and on and on and on sampai akhirnya it hits the top part. And for me, we don't have like 3 days to tell a beautiful story. We only have 1.5 hours. So we gotta make some creative decisions based on that. However, for the second one, I did choose to focus on the emotional part more so than the external 3-act. Yeah. And I think that lends itself to a more truthful representation of their story than the first one. The first one gained more popularity box office-wise, but the second one hits closer to home for the people that I write it for, which is Ayu and Dito. And
benar banget.
That is important. Yeah.
Benar, soalnya aku baca ulasan-ulasannya ya, kalau dari TTM yang pertama tuh kan kayak ya penontonnya sampai 1,7 juta, tapi kalau yang banyakan itu review yang TTM 2 itu yang close to hearts gitu loh ya.
Yeah.
Bisa lebih dirasakan gitu ya konfliknya, kayak early married couple gitu kan, kayak strugglesnya apa. Jadi dan juga kayaknya waktu itu penayangannya terkendala COVID ya, awal-awal muncul tuh kan
hampir
awal-awal COVID kan. Iya, tapi nevertheless penontonnya tetap banyak, dan ya berarti itu membuktikan ceritanya diterima gitu kan by the audience.
Dan yang gue seneng tuh ini loh Put, teman-temannya Ayu dan Dito sendiri suka sama film itu. And that makes me feel like this is truthful then. This is important to their close circle. So it's valuable.
Iya sih ya. Validasinya justru dari outsidernya ya, yang kayak oh ya ini mereka banget gitu kan ya.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it. So actually kayaknya dulu aku udah pernah nanya sih kalau apakah pas nulis ini ketemu sama mereka langsung gitu. Dan dulu tuh aku kira tidak ketemu langsung tuh karena tidak bisa gitu loh. Ternyata karena keputusan. Soalnya this reminds me of another scriptwriter. I think I have watched an interview of Lawrence Cavaria ya, yang bikin Hustler itu. Dia kan bikin film Hustler based on an article only gitu. Nah kalau yang Kak Joanna buat, kalau si Lauren itu dia bikin skripnya film Hustler, jadi tentang apa sih, tentang strippers gitu kan, terus dia drugs and rob the customers gitu, the clients kan ditipu lah gitu. Itu tapi caranya dia adalah beneran based on articles only gitu, dari yang dia baca di mana ya waktu itu, di New York Magazine kayaknya. Nah kalau Kak Joanna di TTM 1 itu patokannya apa? Only from the novel itself atau ada hal-hal lain gitu yang jadi patokan? Karena kan nggak ketemu nih sama tokohnya langsung.
I read the novels I definitely researched their Instagram. I went all the way down their timeline, all the way down. I try to find them on Facebook. I basically try to find themselves back in high school. And for IU, it's a little easier because she was a celebrity. She was on TV. So I could research on that a little bit, kayak articles on gossip news, you know. Tapi buat Dito enggak. So I did watch their interviews a little bit just to figure out how do they speak, what is their way of communicating with each other. With every couple, they have a different vibe, right? So I want to know what their vibe with each other, and maybe that could represent their friendship dulu gitu.
Padahal filmnya dari sudut pandang Dito ya, wow. Itu berarti gimana tuh? Triple, quadruple susah ya. Kayaknya udah bukan double susah lagi deh. Tapi gimana tuh challenge-nya waktu itu kan? Soalnya filmnya kan dari sudut pandang Dito, sementara Ditonya kan bukan not yet a celebrity yet gitu, kayak yang pas lagi mau dibahas masa mudanya. Nah itu caranya Kak Joanna gimana selain ngeliatin Instagram gitu, which is not really working for Dito's part, tapi kalau untuk ngulik tokoh Ditonya sendiri, what did you do?
TTM 1 itu, the book itself was written by Dito mostly. So the way he writes is conversational. Yeah, so it's easy. It's kind of easy to get into his mindset. Yep.
Saya lupa. Iya, saya juga baca bukunya soalnya. Iya ya, yang pertama itu sampai diceritain hamster lah apa segala macam ya.
Yeah.
Oke. Okay, so pas lagi udah ditulis gitu ya dalam penulisannya tadi kan, as you said before, kehidupan nyata tuh nggak bisa 100% plek kayak di skrip gitu kan. But do you get their bukan exception sih ya, kayak dapat persetujuannya mereka, atau mereka langsung ngelihat pas udah jadi film gitu, atau mereka juga ikut dalam proses ngembangin idenya atau kayak gimana gitu, kayak karena kan nggak ketemu. Nah terus mereka apa protes gitu, ada nggak sih yang protes kayak gue nggak gini deh gitu?
For the first film, they did give some inputs. However, the way my contract works is that anything that Ayu and Dito want to talk to me about, they have to go through the production house. So they went to the producer went to me, and I think in between that, the producer makes some creative choices as well. And there were times where he said, "No, it's okay, just keep writing, or change this part and that part, keep writing." So I don't know. Is this okay to talk about? Pak Navin, apa yang terjadi Pak Navin? However, I guess that's the reality of work life, right? Semuanya tergantung kontrak. Jadi untuk kontrak gue yang sama Falcon ini, emang ini sih, semua yang gue dengar harus dari satu pintu. And that pintu is the producer. So whatever the producer says goes. I'm sorry, Ayu Dito. I just
lewat producer.
Yeah.
Nah, itu tadi kan kalau terkait campur tangan tokoh aslinya gitu kan, karena filmnya tentang berdasarkan tokoh asli. Nah, satu hal lagi yang masih membingungkan gitu, yang pengen aku tanyain itu, when you are writing about a character ya, let's say misalnya Dito inilah ya, to what extent you have the freedom to create his character, his personalities gitu. Apakah pas hari syutingnya gitu kan ada unsur direkturnya juga kan yang mendirect aktornya. Nah, ada nggak sih yang kayak perasaan I didn't write it that way gitu, tapi ternyata interpretasinya directorsnya maunya dibuat lain gitu, kayak let's make it coy atau misalnya lebih mungkin lebih, atau ada I don't know ya, mungkin ada perubahan atau apa gitu. Is it possible for that kind of change in a set?
A different interpretation happens a lot. Kayak di TTM 2, there was a scene where they did not interpret the character differently. The character stays the same. However, they interpreted the emotion of that scene differently. I was planning something funny. However, the director feels this is gonna be sad. We're gonna make it super emotional. Really different. And when I sat and I watched it, I was like, wait a minute, that's not what I meant. However, it happened, and that's okay.
Berarti Kak Jo udah by the time itu udah dipegang director gitu, udah on set tuh berarti udah as a writer nggak ada kendali apa-apa lagi ya?
No. For this project, any projects that I have with Falcon, once I give the script, it's done. It's on their playing field gitu. However, touching back on will the character change once it goes to the director? Usually it doesn't. Habisnya gini, the characterization itself is shown through the way the characters act in the script. Like when I write the action, when I make the characters decide on something, that will reveal the kind of character that they have. Kayak sifat-sifatnya gitu bakal ketahuan dari pilihan-pilihan yang mereka lakukan. Misalnya, someone who's courageous is gonna make a different choice from someone who's cowardly in a given situation. Misalnya kayak ada orang yang bakal ditabrak di depan sana gitu. What would these two people do? Kayak their action will reveal their character, and a smart director will know without me saying dia adalah orang pemberani, dia adalah orang yang penakut.
Mungkin ini buat pendengar penontonnya juga gitu ya. Mungkin sih belum pernah ngelihat kayak apa sih nulis personality itu di script itu nulisnya gimana gitu. Nah itu boleh nggak sih ditunjukin dikit gitu dari Kak Joanna?
Boleh banget. Ini contoh skrip ya.
Yeah.
Alright, let's see. Teman tapi menikah. It's been like a really long while. Do I just share my screen?
Bisa sebentar. Ini aku harus ini ya. Bisa nggak sih?
Alright, let me try it. Share screen. Share. Are you seeing this? Alright, so this is Teman Tapi Menikah Dua. Nah, this is how a script looks like. I would write, this is exactly the opening of TTM. I would write the name of the character, what she does, and what they say or what they think about or what sounded, what do we hear. Tapi untuk sifatnya dia, gue nggak nulis. I don't write the kind of person that they are. Like I said, action reveals character.
Okay.
So I just show that. Okay, let's see. Nah, nih misalnya eksterior Hotel Bali malam, flashback, Dito memakaikan cincin ke jemari Ayu. Terus Ayunya bilang, gila lo to gila. Terus Dito menggandeng Ayu. The way she said gila lo to gila shows that she's not very romantic. If she's romantic, she would be like, oh my god, he's gonna marry me. Terus kayak, I love you so much. Terus started crying, you know. That's what a romantic person would do. However, she and Dito is more friendly and more like bros. Jadinya waktu dicincinin dia kayak gitu, lu gila man, lu gila, this is happening, gila gitu.
Berarti ini salah satunya salah satu big difference between a script and a prose ya. Berarti kalau misalnya teman-teman yang lainnya pada baca kayak novel atau short story itu kan vivid banget penggambarannya ya, kayak dia canggung, langkahnya begini, matanya begitu, tapi ini kan sama sekali nggak ditulis gitu kan. So is it correct if I said that keberhasilan penampilan karakternya itu berarti juga sangat bergantung aktor siapa yang memainkannya juga berarti ya?
100%. A smart actor would read the script and realize kayak, oh ya berarti orangnya kayak gini, berarti orangnya kayak gitu. Without saying kayak, oh dia ngomongnya harus tanpa ditulis gitu loh. Malas banget nggak sih nulis skrip terus di dalamnya gue ngasih tauin karakter aktornya kayak, lu nanti sok-sok nangis ya, lu tapi matanya tuh nggak boleh terlalu besar, kayak harus kecil, habisnya lu menginginkan sekali cintanya gitu, makanya mata lu kecil aja. Kayak that's me directing the actor, and that's the actor's job to figure that out. So I want to respect their craft and let them go crazy and just explore whatever you get.
Wow, this is actually new to me as well gitu. Berarti ya benar yang ditulis Kak Joanna itu ke dialog berarti ya, sama setting mungkin ya. Settingnya seperti apa, lebih ke situ ya. But for the characterization atau kayak personality wise itu berarti it's purely the actor or actress interpretation berarti ya. Dan
they would have to do their own research sih.
Dan tentunya dengan direkturnya pasti ya. Oke.
Dan untuk teman tapi menikah ini, Ayu sama Ditonya juga turun langsung. Mereka nge-coach gitu loh. Ini cara gue ngomong nih, ini gue biasanya sehari-hari kayak gini, diajak gitu ke rumahnya mereka buat spend time bareng-bareng. Jadi bisa, the actors can study the real people. Untungnya kalau bekerja sama orang yang nyata tuh kayak gitu. Tapi kalau enggak, if it's just a fictional character, then it's just the actors with the director, atau sometimes with me too, but usually just with the directors.
Okay. Mungkin ini agak melenceng ya, but as an author, as a writer, gitu, a script writer, I guess kayaknya penulis tuh they want to have rich variety of characters gitu, perhaps in your film gitu, but sometimes there are times when you cannot really atau cannot fully embody a subject in an idea gitu kan. Nah, is there any character with a certain personalities, with a certain characterization that you would have to love to write, but somebody haven't let you do because they consider this off or weird or something?
Definitely there are some characters that I want to write about, tapi just haven't found the right project for it. But the way I write is, maybe it's different. Kayak I don't fall in love with characters as much as I fall in love with their changes. I think I like when characters change in a script, and I love revealing that journey where they actually realize that, oh, I've been wrong, atau I have been living life like a fool, now I have to change in order to gain something. So to answer your question, I love characters that are adamant and irreverent. Characters that just flip their middle fingers off, kayak gue gak mau nunjukin.
Bikin Quentin Tarantino style gitu ya?
Lumayan, tapi my personality is really bubbly and like really fun. So when I write dark characters, I have to go dark. Like I have to be like, listen to metal songs, or like, I have to feel it in a certain way. Okay? If there's a thing called method writing, kayak method acting, I think I'm pretty method about my writing. Kayak I have to feel the emotion of the characters in order to write it, Sometimes it gets tiring, but I would love a chance to write really dark characters and really kayak, I love writing evil people. Like the arch enemies atau the just people with such dark pasts gitu, kayak I love writing them because it's so fun. Kayak it's not me, it's just somebody else and I get to play with them in my head. It's so fun.
Malah tertarik untuk itu tadi balik lagi ya, explore various personalities sebenarnya.
I want to write about sluts as well, like just hoes, bitches. I love to write about them. Like, come on, give me strippers, yes.
Tapi mungkin itu bakalan agak challenging kali ya di Indonesia. Belum
men.
Langsung di demo.
Iya banget. Itu masalahnya. Kayak I want to write about Oh, nggak apa-apa deh. Nanti kapan-kapan gue cerita kalau film udah jadi. There's something a little sexy that can come your way, but I can't tell you about it yet until it's out. So look out world.
Akan ditunggu. Oke, well, ini banyak banget hal-hal baru yang aku pelajarin. Apa ya? Ya mungkin aku mau nanya lagi deh. Balik lagi ke TTM 1 ya. Kalau TTM 2 kan tadi bisa lebih ada komunikasi sama pemeran aslinya, bukan pemeran, sama tokoh aslinya. Terus bahkan the actor and the actress themselves, mereka bisa consult, mereka bisa ketemu langsung dan tanya gitu kan, bisa learn from the real person. Tapi karena yang TTM 1 itu sengaja ingin menjaga kemurnian interpretasi gitu ya, interpretasinya Kak Jo. Is there any symbol ya atau symbol that you use to make this character Dito sama Ayunya tuh to be distinctive character gitu, karena kan satunya happy kan, satunya kan orang yang kayak ya nggak romantis kan, si Ayunya kan yang lebih ke arah bego lu toh, yang dikit-dikit gitu ngomongnya. Sementara yang Ditonya itu kan loving, sebenarnya di dalam hatinya kan dia loving and so on. Nah di film-film tertentu itu kan ada yang pakai symbolism to strengthen the idea atau to strengthen the character itself gitu. Misalnya kayak ya Parasite deh, misalnya Parasite itu kan misalnya yang diulang-ulang banget misalnya smell gitu kan, untuk membedakan si orang kayanya, the Parks family and the Kim's family gitu kan, they differentiated from the smell as the symbol gitu, simbol orang kaya dan miskin. Nah kalau di TTM 1 ini is there anything gitu ya that you use to strengthen that idea gitu, untuk bikin distinctive characters gitu antara Ayu dan Dito-nya? Ada nggak sih elemen-elemen kayak gitu?
Untuk membedakan karakter, I don't think so. I definitely didn't write with symbolism in mind. And I was such a young writer. It was my first film, and I don't think about that. I was just thinking about, I just want to write a story. That's it, you know. I think as I grow as a writer, I begin to put in more of that, because symbolism is the visual part of the thematic idea, right? And that has to do a lot with communication between me and the director. So for one case is that I was writing this one new script, and I had the chance to work with the director from the start of the conception of the story. And then I get to talk about, okay, because this story is about, can I talk about it? Maybe. Maybe. In general, because it is a story about a daughter going back to find out the past life of her father, her deceased father. Therefore, I created symbolisms where she goes back to the island where her father once lived, and the moment she realized that he's not the person she thought he was, that the house where he lived before burnt down. And to me, that's like, it's important that the scene happened in that area, in the house, and we see the house burnt down. And if the production would have said, oh, let's do it at a hotel because this and that, I would go, no, this whole story, this whole house burning down is the thematic idea that we have throughout the whole movie. So it's really important. Now, sometimes writers are a little more narcissistic in a way that I want to create ini simbol ini dan simbol ini just because it's fun, or just because it's more kayak crafty. Kayak, oh, this girl, they can BS their way into kayak the symbolism is really important because whatever. Tapi if it doesn't strengthen the thematic idea, nggak perlu ditulis menurut gue. But if it adds to something, if the audience will watch it, and kayak si Parasite, oh the smell, oh my gosh, I never thought of that gitu kayak. Then that's important. It's really important to be communicated as well to the director. Untungnya Bong Joon-ho adalah writer and director, right? So he doesn't have to communicate. He knows exactly what he's gonna do. From the start, he's already thinking kayak, ya nanti gue direknya kayak gini, nanti masuknya the hallway kayak dia udah nulis shortlistnya saat dia nulis skripnya gitu loh.
Dia sudah menulis seperti pakai otak director gitu ya.
Iya.
Ya bener juga sih Kak. Untuk keselak. Untuk yang kayak tema-tema yang ya bukan tema ya, mungkin elemen yang penting ya kayak tadi rumah diganti hotel yang nggak masuk gitu kan mungkin. Ya so that is how important symbolism can be gitu. Mempertebal si karakternya si cewek itu tadi karena kan dia tadi apa gimana mau kayak back to the past gitu kan ya.
Iya.
Oke, ini sebenarnya ini kalau dibahas panjang lebar ini bisa lama banget gitu. Tapi mungkin ini 1-2 pertanyaan terakhir deh. Yang tadinya belum sempat dibahas. Previously you said that you start writing in 2015 ya.
Yes.
Did you apa ya? Did you take a film study atau gimana kayak what happened gitu? How did it happen? What happened gitu? Apa sih yang terjadi di awal mulanya yang membuat Anda ya, memutuskan untuk okay, this is it. I'm gonna write script.
Okay. Ya, itu sebuah kayak jalur hidup gue tuh kayak tiba-tiba melenceng gitu loh. Because
kuliahnya apa? Maksudnya belajarnya apa?
I graduated BFA, Bachelor of Fine Arts in Motion Design. So I created animations, I planned to go into motion graphics basically. Kayak bikin efek-efek apalah gitu. But then I realized after graduating that I was so tired of making motion assets and like working with keyframe by keyframe and like spending 1 whole month to create a 30-second animation. Kayak I'm so tired, I don't want to do this gitu. I went back to Indo, started working at a church actually as a what was I doing? As a writer. As a script writer, and I also direct videos. That's when I realized, when I see my work back then, when I saw my work, I looked at it and I was like, this is not exactly what I planned. Kayak I had all these ideas in my head, but I couldn't write it onto a piece of paper where my crew can read it and be like, oh, we totally get what you mean. We totally get your vision.
Pas lagi kuliah animation itu berarti tidak termasuk penulisan screenplay gini-gini tuh tidak diperdalam atau gimana gitu kayak?
Tidak diperdalam karena pas gua kuliah itu it's more technical. Like, and I was the quote-unquote writer-director. I have this image in my head and I just make the animation for it. And I did not work with a narrative kind of stories di kuliah. It's more like this certain look and this is how I move it and this is the music. Jadi really technical stuff. Story writing itu gue belajar 2013, 2014. And that was the first time I ever saw what a screenplay looks like. Bang Joko Anwar ceritanya membuka a mentoring session. He tweeted it and I saw it and I was like, this is Joko Anwar, the one who writes Quickie Express, the one who wrote Janji Joni. Kayak I love him, kayak I want gitu. Cuman for me, I was like, but I'm not a writer. I've never been good at writing. Kayak, how do I want to do this gitu kan? But then I applied anyway. Lo and behold, there were 10 of us who got picked by Bang Joko, and we studied under him for months and months and months. And that's when like my brain sort of exploded, and I learned about character, I learned about premises, I learned about story writing and world building, and kayak even down to the format of a screenplay. Gila sih itu that was the first time ever I learned about story, and it sort of changed the way I looked at life as well. But that was 2014, right? I started writing kayak after that class. I thought, you know what, I'm gonna quit my church job and I'm gonna start focusing on writing. Obviously, I didn't land a gig immediately, so I taught English for a bit. I taught English for about a year, and then I landed my first writing job because of a referral from Bang Joko. Bang Joko referred me to this one advertising agency, so I started writing their YouTube web series. Habis itu we gonna the project.
Film pertamanya berarti apa nih? Film pertama yang itu tim co-writing gitu atau sendiri film pertama?
Film pertama feature film kan maksudnya. TTM itu nulis sendiri. Well, nulis sendiri terus diedit sama Mbak Upi. Habis itu diedit sama teman yang lain, habis itu baru ke gua lagi.
Oh, berarti TTM 1 tuh film pertama berarti itu? Film panjang pertama lah ya. Kalau yang pendek-pendek pastinya sebelumnya udah gitu ya.
Iya.
Berarti ada apa aja tuh tadi film ke-8 ya? Filmnya tuh berarti apa aja? TTM 1.
TTM kan yang pertama, yang kedua tuh The Way I Love You. Yang ketiga
lupa.
Yang ketiga TTM 2 deh kalau nggak salah. Habis itu ada Sin, terus ada Keluarga Selamat, Falcon juga. Habis itu ada Virgo and the Sparklings coming out soon in September. I hope if the pandemic is over, we can see it in the movies together. Virgo and the Sparklings itu bareng sama Bumi Langit. Abis itu 2 yang belum bisa gue mention karena kita sedang nulis.
Oke. Wow. That's too much to digest. Kayak banyak banget informasi yang menarik yang sebenarnya tuh pengen dibahas lebih lanjut, tapi kayak waktunya tidak mencukupi. Mungkin gini deh. Do you have ini two last question, okay? Do you have any favorite all-time characters gitu? And why? Gitu ya. Yang apa ya, kayak gila nih karakternya kok bisa dibikin kayak gini ya?
As I said, gue suka journey-nya mereka kan. Jadinya karakter-karakter yang menarik adalah the characters that interest me are the ones that go through such pain in order to get where they are. So
yang top of mind deh.
Yeah, I always love the mom at 3 Billboards of Ebbing, Missouri. Mildred namanya. She is fantastic. Habisnya she was so angry and so resilient and so adamant about the things that she want to get. She didn't get it until the end, but she keep pushing, and we see her crumble and rise up again and burn things along with her and rise up again, and it's just gitu, so good. And that movie is a character study gitu kan. It's a character study, jadinya very good movie and wonderful job Frances. Frances Mix siapa ya? Mohon maaf Bu Frances, tapi saya suka. Saya suka sama Ibu.
Saya suka. Oke, one last question. Tadi kan two last question. One last questionnya kalau tadi yang terakhir itu all time favorite characters. Kalau sekarang you are in a desert island, ya. Which one of all the characters from your movies? Ya kan? There were 7 movies in 8 movies, ya. Which one of them would you like to be on the island with you?
Oh,
kan Anda sudah menulis 8 film. Nah, dengan berbagai macam karakter di dalam film-film tadi, ya. So, who would
siapa ya?
Who would be with you on that island together with you?
I think Dito would be a fun person to be around with. If you're like in dire need of entertainment. Habisnya ini deserted island, right?
Yeah.
It's a deserted island. There's no one else with you. Kayaknya Dito is gonna be fun. And I think he can do stuff. Kayak he can help me build a house or something.
Multifungsi ya. Jadi selain dia apa namanya menyenangkan, tapi juga fungsional gitu.
Fungsional, benar. Karena yang lain-lainnya kayak cerita karakter yang lain tuh kayak masih kecil-kecil kan, anak SMA, men. cerita gue tuh banyak anak SMA. Gue nggak mau tinggal di satu island sama anak SMA yang ada gue yang kerja, gue yang nemenin dia. Enak bener. Gue penulisnya, maksud gue yang kerja. Gue ada kerja susah-susah bikin lu hidup. Sekarang gue masih disuruh bikin lu hidup. Ada. Nggak terima.
Dito. Dito. Apakah ini karena Dito film pertama jadi enggak lah ya, tapi alasannya lebih yang ke tadi ya, yang
alasannya praktis sih, praktis.
Okay, then I think thank you so much for taking part in the very first episode of Till, Talk to You Literature Podcast. We just come up with that name sebenarnya. Aku ngeliat abbreviation gitu kayak apa ya?
Tapi kamu jawabnya bilangnya title?
Till kan Till.
Oke, Till.
Till Podcast.
Talk to You Literature.
Oke deh, thank you so much for taking part in the very first episode. Terima kasih banget buat ngobrol-ngobrolnya. Karena ini adalah episode perdana, saya lagi berbaik hati. Jadi pada untuk pendengar atau penonton yang beruntung, dia bakal dapat 1 kaos ini.
Wow.
Tapi dengan syarat harus jawab pertanyaan mungkin dari Kak Joanna deh. Boleh. You can pick any questions for the audience, for the listeners of this podcast. Nanti akan dipilih secara acak dari komentarnya. Silahkan.
Okay. So I did mention a quote that I think is quite important. Blah 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 reveals character. I think if there's anything that you can pull out from this talk about character, when you're writing a script, what reveals your character the most?
Jadi silakan dijawab pertanyaan dari Kak Joanna untuk memenangkan satu kaos Money Heist ini. Nanti akan diundi di kolom komentar. Jawabannya bisa langsung ditulis di situ. So, I think that would be all. Thank you so much. Thank you ya. Jadi nggak berhenti nih thank you-nya karena emang obrolannya insightful banget sih, terutama ya kayak tadi isinya skrip seperti apa, wah itu nggak kebayang banget. So sukses buat Kak Joanna untuk proyek-proyek film kedepannya ya, semoga dilancarkan karena kayaknya proses syuting juga agak pastinya terganggu lah ya karena COVID ini. Ya. Semoga semuanya bisa jadi cepat lebih baik so that we can see your movie on big screen.
I want to see you too on the big screen. Thank you, Paul. Thank you for this time. So fun.
Bye-bye.
Have a good one. Have a good night.